Okay, we'll get started here. Awesome. Everybody have a good break? Woohoo! Awesome. Another fun, informative session. We've got 1 hour on this particular session. If you do have questions, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll try to get to you. If not, just kind of hold them back, and we'll take questions at the end, okay? Oh, she is going to talk fast. She's got a lot to tell y'all. So she will be available after the discussion, though, to visit with anybody one-on-one. So you can always ask questions there too. Okay, next we have Gina Knapp, and I'm going to read her bio for you. Of course, this, if you make sure you're in the right place right now, it's Testicle Talk, not your normal customer service class. So if you're in the right place, great. If not, A, C. Okay, here we go. Gina Knapp is a nationally recognized leader in animal welfare innovation and senior specialist of outreach and engagement at Petco Love. She drives the expansion of Petco Love Lost, a groundbreaking platform that uses AI to reunite lost pets with their families faster and more often. With a background in emergency services, she brings unmatched experience in crisis management, community engagement, and organizational leadership. Gina is helping lead a national movement to reinvent how communities keep people and pets together. Let's please welcome Gina Knapp.
I'm going to put a shameless, can you hear me? Yeah? Barely? Can you hear me now? Okay. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the work that you do. I'm going to put in a shameless 1-minute plug for Petco Love Lost because nobody told me that I couldn't. Oh, good Lord. This little mouse guy doesn't, how do you guys do this? Okay, hold on. There we go.
My heart just started racing. I couldn't imagine where my big guy was. Did he get hit by a car? Did someone take him? Are they going to fight him? Will I ever see him again?
I was really sad. I cried a lot.
She is blind, so it was just a very scary ordeal.
Couldn't find Louie anywhere. It was devastating.
I don't think I felt joy and fear that close together before. Within 20 minutes, I got our possible match. Sure enough, it was a picture of my Max looking back at me.
We were just ecstatic. We found her so quickly in such a short space of time.
I got a text from a gal who said that Louie popped up on Petco Love Lost. And she said, "It's your cat. We're watching him right now." We were just thrilled.
Oh my God, my heart stopped. I ran downstairs to my daughter. I was like, look, that's Sandy, right? That's Sandy.
He was our missing piece, having him back, really just makes home feel like home.
Petco Love Lost is so important. It really does reunite families and it saves lives.
Thank you, Petco Love Lost, for bringing Louie home.
For bringing Lucy home.
For bringing Max home.
That's my shameless plug. If you want to know if you are already integrated with Petco Love Lost, come see me at lunch. Some of you are, some of you aren't. But if you aren't, you need to be. 1 pet every 4 minutes is being reunited on our platform. It is free, no hidden agenda. And we've reunited 250,000 animals. And I think nobody else can say that they're doing what we're doing for free. All right. I am going to do my very best not to fall off this platform. I tend to be a little bit exuberant. Today we're going to do a little bit of soul searching. I hopefully will make some of you uncomfortable, not on purpose, I'm so sorry. But if it inspires a little action when you go back to your workspaces, then I have achieved what I set out to do. And if I can make you laugh one time, then I will be a winner. I will probably struggle. Here we go. I wrote this, and I mean this, and I will let you read this. There are 2 ends to the leash, and that human end is the part that our industry struggles with. We know what to do with the animals. And I firmly believe this. If this is not the right business for you, get out. And I'll help you. I'm good at helping people find jobs. But I'm also, as you can tell, very direct and very blunt. That's how I make people feel uncomfortable. So let's talk about a little bit, if I can see the buttons. The way we act is contagious. I used to be in the 911 emergency services industry, and I worked with this woman named Vera. You all know Vera. On Monday, Vera would come to work, and she was terrific. Like, she was a ray of sunshine. And when you worked with Vera, you had a good day because Vera had a good day. But on Tuesday, the other Vera would come to work. And you all have a Vera in your workplace. They are unhappy, they are miserable, they are mean, they are rude, and that oozes out, right? And we all kind of absorb it. It's contagious. So we all know how that feels. And sometimes I ask myself, am I being the good Vera or the bad Vera? We have a lot of control individually about the energy and the vibe of the workplace, all of us, and it's a choice that we make. So when you drive into the parking lot at work, it is right there in that very moment that I ask you to be mindful. Stop. Stop drinking your Starbucks, stop with your phone, and say to yourself, self, who am I going to be when I walk through that threshold today? Am I going to be the good Vera or the bad Vera? We don't have any control over the fact that you just left the house and your 5-year-old couldn't find his left shoe, your dog pooped on the rug, you're fighting with your partner, you got a $500 bill you can't pay. We can't partition that out, but if we want to be the leaders in the pet acquisition space in this country, we need to start thinking about what's the contagion that we are giving our customers, our coworkers, our volunteers, and the only people that have control over that is us individually. So this is what's happening in America. We know that about 24% of people are acquiring pets from us, from shelters and rescues in the United States. And then the other 75+% is our greater, broader competition. We have lost the market share. In 2019, I think we were a lot closer to moving that pie over, but we have lost it, and we need to figure out how do we get it back. So where are people getting their animals? We know that breeders are the predominant place of choice, 36%, depending upon what state you're from. I live in Lancaster, Pennsylvania now, where the Amish puppy mills are prolific, so I know where people are getting their pets. But there's things like, I rescued a stray dog that was on the street, my dog had puppies, I kept one, or my cat. Some people, 19% of the people surveyed for this, said their animals were gifted to them. Yet how many of us in the animal sheltering space don't let someone adopt an animal if they say it's going to be a gift for someone else? Yet we know that nearly 20% of our pet owners in the United States got their pets through gifting. So we need to look at the distribution of pet acquisition in the United States. I apologize, this is the previous year's version of the AVMA pet ownership graph, but I refuse to pay $250 to download the latest version. But as we can see, pet ownership is going up in the United States. Americans love their pets. Otherwise, the pet space wouldn't be worth $140+ billion in America. That is what we're spending on animals as Americans. So the bar keeps going up. Something also that I also like to mention is perspective, because we drive into work and we see the cardboard box full of puppies and we're overwhelmed and, oh my God, we're full. What are we gonna do? Wah, 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 the sky is falling. We know that a little over 6 million cats and dogs enter US shelters every year, just 6 million. But there's almost 90 million dogs in America and almost 74 million cats. Yet we're only touching a little over 6 million, right? That means we're touching less than 4% of all the cats and dogs in our country. Less than 4%. So we need to remind ourselves that most American pet owners are doing just fine. Or VCA would go out of business. All the PetSmart charity, or all the PetSmart stores and the Petco stores would close down, right? Banfield would go out of business. Most people are doing a beautiful job with their pets. We are getting the tiny teardrop of those that are struggling. So, why are we not the number one choice? Why are people not coming in droves to us to adopt? Why is that? Are we hiring the right people? Are we training them properly? I think that we are the problem. We are the inherent problem why people are not picking us first over the competition. A lot of folks don't like to hear that, but that's just Gina's opinion. All right, so I'm originally from California, born and bred. My heart is there, but I have moved across America, and now I'm in Pennsylvania. But California has an organization called California Animal Welfare Association. It's about 350 shelters in the state. It's a statewide coalition. And they hired a firm year before last to conduct a study on interviewing people that either have a pet, had adopted a pet, had been to a shelter. And it was a rather massive study. And California is a good state because there's 40 million people. It's incredibly diverse. So you got a really good chunk of America view. And what they found in that is that over 85% of the people said they were likely to adopt from us. Likely. But even though 87% of them have visited a shelter, less than half actually adopted. So the conversion rate didn't happen. They went into the shelter empty-handed, they left empty-handed. And when they asked these people, the overall perception of our industry was positive. What was super interesting out of this study was that the Hispanic community had an even higher opinion of our industry. And yet, not industry-wide, but there are many organizations that view the Hispanic community as not such great pet owners. Yet, they think we're great. So why weren't these people who they interviewed, why didn't they adopt? Because we made them sad. There's this huge emphasis on euthanasia, on life-saving. I love it when I meet someone and they find out what I do for a living, and they say, oh, I rescued a dog. And I say, what'd you rescue it from? We have created a perception to America that the animals we have in our care need rescuing. Yet over half of them are just lost pets. If we start changing our narrative, I don't know if anybody was in the class Kendall Paul just did and showed her TikTok videos, like they were selling used cars. It was hysterical. We need to change the perspective, this whole notion of saving a pet's life. Petco Love does it. I tell them all the time. We need to stop talking like that. This is a photo from my old shelter in California. I forgot to tell you I ran the Front Street Animal Shelter for 10 years. Not a long time ago, but it was the best, worst thing I ever did in my life. Got me here. So we do these free adoptions, right? Oh my God, we're full, right? This weekend, everything's free. We put up these sad pictures. It's sadvertising, folks. Sadvertising works if you want to raise money. It's great for fundraising. It is not great for converting someone who's thinking about adopting to adoption. People don't want to feel sad. When was the last time, pick a store you love to go to that has a big sale and they say, oh my God, we have too many shoes. Or the car dealerships don't say, oh my God, we have too many cars. We're the only industry that kind of it's anti-intuitive in my opinion. We're scrambling for people to come to us because we have too much of something. I really think we need to spend a lot of time looking at the retail industry and how do they convert a shopper to a buyer. And I know you guys all love the word adopt, don't shop, but we created a monster when we did that. I'll probably say this 12 more times, but how we make people feel, their very first contact with us is going to be what it's going to take to convert so that we get the full market share of adopters in America. There's plenty of adopters. We know that. Our pets don't live forever. I don't know about you guys, but when I lose one of my beloveds, I get another one. How we make people feel. And it's one of the things, it doesn't cost you any money. How you make someone feel is free. Think about that. So back in the olden days, I was way long time ago when I was super young, I was a dispatch cadet for the Sacramento Police Department, sitting in the front row. I think I was 24 years old. I was a baby. And I remember the academy instructor telling us, when you answer 911, pretend like it's your mother that's calling. I don't like my mother. I really don't like my mother. And she's dead. She's dead now. And like, I don't miss her. So that was a very bad analogy for me, right? Treat every caller like your mother. I would have gotten fired because I don't like my mother. So I came up with 2 different ways to think about how to treat people. And when you take 911 calls, you're talking to people sometimes in their worst possible moment. And it translates nicely to that person that you have snot crying at the front counter with you, right? It's the same kind of thing. We're talking to people in crisis. So I decided to come up with 2 different things. Who do I love the most in the whole wide world? Who would I die for? Who would I kill for? And who would I wear an orange jumpsuit for? That's my person. And in my case, it's my daughter Ruby. Another way to look at it is, if you had 5 minutes left to live, who would you want to spend that 5 minutes with? And I hope you all have that one person, right? That is your North Star. So when you're at work dealing with a challenging customer or a coworker or a volunteer, how would you want your person to be treated, right? So, and it takes, again, mindfulness to think about things that way. So when I feel like I'm losing my cool, I think about my kid and say, okay, how would I want her to be treated? So that's how Gina does it. You might want to come up with your own way. We know that organizational culture is super important. It's the personality of your organization. Think about your shelters. What is the vibe? You know, is it zany? Is there a lot of laughter? Is there joy? Or is it glum? And people can feel that. I went to a shelter. I used to live in Montana for 4 years, not too long ago. And I went into the shelter, and in the break room, the staff every week come up with this bingo card. They do it themselves. And I thought it was a really good reflection of their energy, of their relationship. Like, one of the squares is the washer didn't break all week, you know, or Pearl May got adopted, or we got X donations at the front counter. Their leadership didn't tell them to do this, but it said a lot to me about the personality of that organization. And whether you know this or not, organizational culture is like a top driver of job satisfaction. People will stay at an employer for less money if they love the people they work with and they love the work they do. Right? It is all about your work family. Who works in the greatest shelter on the planet and you love the people that you work with? How come all the hands didn't go up? Okay? Oh, that's scary. But people will stay for less money. How we treat one another, each other, and I include volunteers in that too, because some of our organizations are predominantly managed by volunteers with very few paid staff. God bless their souls for working for free. But how we treat each other is very evident to our visitors. People can feel our energy. They can tell if we like each other or we don't. Y'all know what Tinder is? I'm just super grateful that I'm too old to have used Tinder and that Facebook did not exist when I was young and dumb. Imagine your shelter is on Tinder. Tinder's a dating site. And if you see someone that you like, you swipe to the right to get to meet them. And if they swipe right, then you meet. And if you nix, you swipe to the left. What if your shelter was on Tinder? Let's just pretend. Would you swipe right? Would you want to go there? Think about that. It's rhetorical. You don't have to answer me. I used to work with this guy too, and he used to say, if you act like a duffel bag, if you dress like a duffel bag, you will act like a duffel bag. And it stuck with me for like 30 years now. So I love AI a lot. And so I told AI to make me a person on the phone as a duffel bag. I know that our work is dirty, right? We get fur and anal glands and poop on us and all the things. But when those front doors open and the consumer comes in, the adopter, the shopper, the donor, the volunteer, whatever they are, how we carry ourselves at work says a lot about the professionalism of our business. I know some kennel techs that get up in the morning, throw their hair in a top bun, put their outfit on from yesterday that's still on the floor, and drag their asses back to work the next day, right? We know who those people are. Even if you're wearing scrubs or you're wearing the issued t-shirt, how we look and how we carry ourselves in the shelter is critical because people are watching us. I do secret shopping all the time at shelters. I did some yesterday. Maybe I'll talk about it, maybe I won't. But people are always watching us. Do we look happy at work? Do we look engaged? How are we talking to each other? What's going on behind that front counter? Is there a donut? Is there a Starbucks cup? Is there crap everywhere? People are watching everything we do. And I can't emphasize enough that incredible customer service starts behind the scenes. What happens in the break room matters because the people who come in to see us who don't know us are getting that impression. How many of you guys use radios at your shelters to communicate with each other? Do you ever think about what you're saying over those radios being transmitted in the front lobby? Because it happens, right? All of that really matters. Your external customers can tell if you like each other. And psychologically, if they think you guys like each other and you love the work you do, guess what happens next? You must be taking really good care of the animals. If you look happy at work, people think, even if you're not, people think you're taking really good care of the animals. And 9 times out of 10, you are taking really good care of the animals if you love the work that you do and the people that you're doing it with. So let's talk about our competition, because we have competition, right? Lots of it. We talked about the breeders and all the places that are selling animals instead of us. Well, you're also, this is just a little Google map look at part of Indiana. There's plenty of choices in this state. So why would I go to Hamilton County Humane, I just picked a name, instead of driving over to Indiana Animal Care Services? Why would I do that? Our widgets are the same. Is the gray pit bull at Indiana Animal Services any different than the pit bull at Indy Humane? Our product is not what separates us from everybody else. And it's not that we're competing. We need to get along. We need to support each other. I can't emphasize that enough. But a Chihuahua is a Chihuahua. A pit bull is a pit bull. A shepherd is a shepherd. So it's not our product that's bringing people to us. It's us. It's the vibe. It's the energy. So I love, again, I am a big Chat GPT girl, Grok, all the things, Meta. There are roughly 300 shelters and rescues in your state. You have a lot of competition. And then when you look at the breeders, I got to put on my glasses for this. These are rough estimates. So in the state, there are 600 to 1,000, depending upon the type of cat, dog species. But still, that's a lot of competition. You are competing against them. And then you've got funny things like Craigslist. If you go back to your home plate and pull up Craigslist for your town, you can see they are your competition. And I wrote to Craig. He did not answer me. But this is supposed to be for rehoming. I call BS on that because I often see like a Daisy Sheepoo. What is a Daisy Sheepoo? Is that like a new made-up breed? I'm sure it doesn't need to be rehomed, right? But we're competing with Craigslist. How many of you put your adoptables up on Craigslist in your town? Why not? South Suburban Humane in the Chicago area, I did a session there, and when I left, they started putting all their cats, adoptable cats, on Craigslist. And 3 days later, their cat manager sends me an email, and she says, people have come in who saw our cats on Craigslist. It's free. It's something a volunteer can do, just saying. And we are pushing down the breeders if we saturate Craigslist with adoptable pets. Something to think about, just saying. I have lots of crazy ideas. And then we have these things, Petland. You ever been to one? Some of them are quite shishy, right? They're quite shishy. And I challenge you, not now, but maybe later this afternoon, go onto their website and give them your phone number or your email and see how long it takes them to get back to you. It's instantaneous. Do we do that when people email us or call our front desk? Not usually, right? They also offer financing, which really cracks me up. See what it says? 1, apply, 2, get approved, and 3, shop. It's shopping, people. We're in a retail industry. Our product are wonderful cats and dogs. We don't have to say that, but we have to act like we're a business. And then we have this. Is this legal in Indiana? Can I sell puppies in a parking lot? Supposedly legal or illegal? Which is it? It's legal? Okay. In some states, it's illegal, and the fine's like $100. But if I've got 8 puppies and I sell 7 of them and I get popped for one of them, it's affordable still. So we're competing with this, right? And this oftentimes ends up at our shelter riddled with parvo, right? We know this. We're competing with this. So let's go back to shopping for a second. If I'm feeling bad, I just have to go to the home goods store to feel better. I don't even have to buy anything. And there is a psychology, there's this stuff that happens in your brain when you go shopping. The little endorphin things happen. So in the first 20 minutes when you walk into the store, your brain is more logical. It's like, man, that's kind of expensive. And then you have the next 15 or 20 minutes where you're high now, you're happy, and you're seeing things that you have to buy. We have to get to our shoppers in that time frame. We have to get to them quickly. After about 30 minutes, we've lost them. Those are the people that are walking out empty-handed. They're leaving because nobody talked to them. I spent some time, weeks actually, in a very large sheltering system in Southern California, and I went in to secret shop before I was supposed to be there on the subsequent Monday morning. And I spent 42 minutes wandering around that shelter before anybody spoke to me. 42. And if your brain on shopping psychology psychology is true, they lost me. Think about your own shelter. How long does it take when a customer walks through the front door before someone on your team, whether it's a volunteer staff person, how long does that take? I did go to a shelter yesterday, and it took all of 4 seconds before their little greeter had me in her claws and wanted to make sure I left with something on the end of the leash. 4 seconds. That's what we need to be doing. We ignore people when they walk into our facilities. We act like cops. We don't want to make eye contact because they might ask us a question. And I also talk about the customer experience starts long before they actually come to your shelter. Where does it start? Where does the customer experience with your organizations begin? Oh, someone said rumor. That's a good one. It's usually not a good word. Anybody? Online. Okay, millennials are the #1 pet owner in America today. Us old people, we're getting too old. We're dying. It's the millennials. They're the ones that we need to capture. And I know that generation doesn't do anything before they go online. So one of my favorite shelters that I have never been to, but I fantasize about it, is the APA of Missouri. apamo.org. Write it down. Check out their website. Their website makes me want to go there. I have already developed a relationship with these people, and I've never been there. I love, love, love what they're doing. Is it friendly? Or when I go to your lost and found page, is the very first thing you tell me is how much it's going to cost for me to get my dog back. Take your websites and have someone who has nothing to do with our industry look at it. Did you know that you could take your website URL, put it into ChatGPT or one of those platforms, and tell AI, rewrite my whole website so that it is friendly, fun, actionable? And it literally spits it all out for you, so at least you have a framework of happiness to move toward. And I ran a government shelter, and I get government IT can be very challenging. They don't let us do all the zany things we want to do, but you can push the envelope just a tad. This is just a random lobby. Think about your lobbies. What is it like? What are people thinking? What are they feeling when they first walk into your lobby? This is, where was I? That's in San Antonio. I will say, and they all know this, that I stood in that lobby for 7 minutes before somebody asked me if I needed something. That's too long. There was nobody in line. Nobody in line. And then this, I'm super proud of the Bitterroot Humane Association in Hamilton, Montana. They got a little grant, and they got a small veterinary clinic in the middle of their lobby. And so when the moms and dads come with the kiddos, the kids get to put on the vet jacket, and they have the stethoscope, and they scan the stuffed animals. They have an x-ray, it's not real, x-ray machine, and the kids love it. Something that the director at APAMO said is, look at your shelter through the eyes of a child, right? What are those kids gonna do all the way home if mom and dad didn't adopt? What are they gonna do? Talk about it. They're gonna drive their parents crazy. I've always said it would be really cool to invite like a 3rd grade class to your shelter and give them a full behind the scenes guided tour. And then they go back to class, and you have questions that the teacher asks them about their experience. Because at about 3rd grade, they're still not lying to us, right? They speak the truth. I think it would be really interesting to see how the shelter made them feel. And if those kids key in on it was loud, it was scary, it was sad, we have work to do, right? Experiment, I put it out there, I'm waiting for a shelter to do it. One of the things that APAMO does is they have a big basket of like those earmuffs, like to protect kids' ears. There's a lot of people with sensitivity to noise, and kennels are loud. They're miserable. I don't like them. So what are we doing to soften that experience? When I go to shelters, and it's like, I wish I could turn it into a job, secret shop full time. The first thing I look at or think about is, did anybody greet me? How long did it take, right? Did I get a welcome hello, or did they not make eye contact? And then the second thing I look at is, how clean is the darn place? People, we have to be cleaner. I probably go to 10 shelters a month, and some of us aren't doing a good job. What do we want people to remember? Well, first of all, did you know that your memories live in your brain right next to your olfactory, your smell area? You know how you smell like cookies baking, and sometimes it makes you think of grandma, right? Smell and memory are right next to each other in our brains. I am not a neuroscientist, I just know that much. So what do we want people to remember about us, about the way we smell? Nothing, right? Nothing. We don't want them to have a memory about smell. We want them to have a memory about friendly staff. It was so clean. It was joyful in there. It was a fun experience. We know people come to shelters just to kill time, right? We're the free zoo. Someday they might adopt, right? Nothing about smell. The back of the house, think about your laundry room. Think about where you get your food prep ready for feeding the cats and dogs. Are those areas spotless? How about your break room, the inside of your fridge? If the back of your house is disgusting, the front of your house is too. Because there is no way to not do both equally. And I find this is one shelter. This is their break room, no, their laundry room, their feeding room, and one of their sinks, and it is always immaculate, just like the front of the house, 100% consistent. If we could just fix that one thing, I think more people would like us. I was at a shelter it wasn't San Antonio Animal Care, it was another group, and I have addressed it with them, but I went into their room where they keep all the moms and pups. And the mom and the pups, the newspaper was all wet. The feces was clearly from the day before. They're 2 hours into being open to the public. I was secret shopping. But I stayed 2 hours. And before I left, I went back to check on this mom and pups. And it was in the same condition as when I arrived. Why would I want one of those dogs? That's not a very healthy environment. That's so sad. That's disgusting. Why would I? This is real. This is like 30 days ago. And this is not unique. We can do better. We are better. And poop. Poop happens all the time, right? They poop. We clean up. 5 minutes later, they've pooped again. How many of us have like a rule in our shelters? If you see poop, it's yours. Clean it up. Anybody? It's a must. That stuff can't sit on the ground for very long because you know what happens? People take pictures. I took this picture right off the internet. I Googled, like Google Images, poop in a shelter, kennel, and that popped up along with many other pictures. People write their own narratives about us. This poop might be 5 minutes old. We don't know, right? But the audience, the person who took the picture, who's going to post it on social media, made up their own story. That poor dog, he even stepped in it. It's been there for 3 days. Clean up your poop. This is not rocket science. How clean are we really matters, because the cleaner we are, psychologically, the more the shopper adopter thinks we're taking really good care of the animals. Really good care of them. And most of us are doing a super job. How many of you, when you hire a new staff person, teach them how to have conversations in the kennels? Do we? We probably don't even mention it. Hey, sit down. We're going to practice kennel conversations. We teach people how to clean and how to do dog play groups and how to administer drugs. We do all those things, but we never teach our new hires how to jaw jack with a complete stranger. And we are hiring, this is for the first time in the U.S. that we've had this many generations in the workforce, and our youngest generation is struggling with interpersonal communication, face-to-face, eye contact. So we have to train them. We have to show them, what does it look like? When I ran a shelter, I routinely walked, I was the director, routinely walked through the kennels and just talked to people. You're not going home empty-handed today, are you? Do I need to go get a leash? Jaw jack. We have to practice and we have to teach that, because a lot of people don't know how to do it. It doesn't come naturally, but we never ever address it when we hire someone new, and we don't train them to that. Like when you come into the shelter, make sure you greet everyone that walks through the front door. That's what we say. And we presume that everybody's mom and dad did a beautiful job. Not so. I walked into a shelter and said I was here to see the dogs, and the girl went. She didn't even speak to me. She just pointed. So off I went in the direction. We have to show people, what does greeting someone look like? What do we expect you to say when you answer the telephone? We literally have to break it down, because we're losing. We're losing the market share. Have you ever been to a car dealership and you pull into the lot? I'm pretty sure they're back there with their binoculars, because it's under 3 minutes. You've got a salesperson right next to you, and they want to know what kind of car you want. Why aren't we doing that with people who are looking for a pet? What kind of pet are you interested in? Let's go look. I've got just the dog for you. We are selling. We are salespeople. And then there's these donors, and we don't train our staff on how to deal with donors. The ED's out there trying to find money all the time, right? The development teams trying to find money all the time. The most powerful people in our organization are the ones who are actually talking to folks at the front door. This old man, not this one, but he looked like this one, walked into my shelter in California and asked to speak with me. And my team knew that they were supposed to make sure not to lie. She's in a meeting. She's not here today. They did ask him if he had an appointment. And he said, no, I do not. So they said, just a minute. And I went out front and got him. And they said he was a grumpy old man. So I looked at him. He said, I'd like to meet with you privately. And I said, okay. I looked at him. I said, well, I can take him, because he wanted to come into my office privately. So I took him to my office, and he sat down. He did not live in the city of Sacramento, where the shelter was. He had never adopted from us before, but he had read a recent newspaper article that really sang the praises of the work that we were doing. And he said, I would just like to make a little donation to let you know how much I was inspired by your shelter and the work you're doing. And he wrote me a check for $25,000. $25,000. I know that's not a lot in the big scheme of things, but that's a lot, right? Are we training our front counter staff when someone walks in? Because people walk in and want to make a donation. Are we training them on how to react to that person? Oh my gosh, let me go get my manager. Even if it's not the real manager, get a fake one and seriously, and have that person come up, shake their hands, thank you so very much. Can we do a photo? People love themselves on social. If they don't want to, that's cool. But when you put a picture up on your social that so-and-so came in and donated money, or the Girl Scouts came in and donated pet food, other people do that. And what do? I want to do that. I want to be on their Facebook. I want to do a fundraising drive. But we don't talk to our line staff about the power they have. How many of you have at the time an adoption is finalized, when they do the money and the paperwork, ask the adopter if they'd like to make a small donation to help another animal? How many of you do that 100% of the time? There is like one hand in here, people. So I started that in Sacramento. My customer service team hated my guts. They said, no, it's too hard to ask. So I incentivized it, and I said, okay, whoever brings in the most money in a month's time, I'll give you $100 of my own money. That inspired them. The first month was a little rough. The second month, they brought in $12,000 in over-the-counter donations by simply asking. It could be $2, it could be $200. But if you don't ask, you don't get. But we're not teaching our front counter staff, our kennel staff, to talk about donations. We were just, if any of you took the fundraising class, any of you take the fundraising class just a little bit ago, she talked about what do donors want. What do donors want? They do want to be thanked, but that's not number one. They want to know what we're doing with their money. What are we doing with the money? What's the impact? So if I went to, are you the boss? Are you a shelter? If I went to your shelter and I asked you, what do you do with your fundraising money? Where does that go? What would you tell me? Okay. Not picking on you. You know who I'm picking on? The boss. All the bosses in this room, your teams need to know what you're doing with the stinking money. How much does it cost to feed our animals for a year? How much are we spending on medical above and beyond every year? Even if you give them an elevator speech so they can at least speak to that and say, well, I know we do X, Y, and Z with our fundraising money, but I'll go get you our development director and she could tell you all about it. People want to know what we're doing with their money. We don't have any field services in this room, right? No? Okay. I'm going to skip this video just for the sake of time. And I want to talk about this. I'm also on Google a lot, looking at shelters across the country. Whether you believe it or like it or not, you are all being Google reviewed. Maybe Yelp, not so much, but Google's definitely it. And my millennial child has taught me never to stay in a hotel or eat at a restaurant or do anything. Don't buy anything, Mom, until you look at the Google reviews. How many of you look at reviews? Quite a few of you. Okay. People are doing it to us. They're doing it to us, whether we want to or not. And I think the lady in the previous class that I was in also may have addressed this. 95% of consumers look at online reviews before they make a buying decision. And we like to call it adoption, but they are buying something from us. 94% say reviews have made them avoid a business. I know it's worked for me. And over half of our consumers expect us to answer the review. Whether it's good or bad, people seem to think that within 5 days, the business should answer. Whether it's thank you for the 5 stars or we're so sorry you had a bad experience. Can you please reach out to Mary Smith and here's her email so that we could talk about this further. We don't argue with people on reviews, do we? How many of you are actually answering every single review? Oh, you have something you can do immediately when you go back to work. Do you read them? They're fascinating because people will describe employees. Oh, the lady with the pink hair at the front counter, she was amazing. Or conversely, she's so mean. You know who the lady with the pink hair is at the front counter. It's an opportunity to correct behavior, but also to reward it. This was a Google review that lives in perpetuity under a shelter's Google reviews. I heard a gasp. Oh, they're fun. If you got nothing better to do, look at shelter Google reviews. It's insane. This one, you don't even have to read it. If I saw this top line in capital letters, do not adopt from them, I would go, next. Is anybody here from the Animal Protection League? Well, that's a darn shame, because they had one that said, this is Indiana. This is fresh, because I do that before I come. This is my favorite shelter, and I don't even live in Anderson, but I will go out of my way to adopt from them. Here's our competition. Why are people driving out of their way to go to your shelter? Because whatever they did to this person, they made her feel important. She is loyal to them. And if you're the boss or whoever you are checking the Google reviews, when you get a good one, you send it to everybody. Tape it to the inside of the bathroom stalls in the employee bathrooms. They'll read it there. They need to know, especially when people are saying great things about them, and celebrate that. Again, this is a repeat slide because people only remember about 25% of what you say. The deepest urge in human nature is desire to feel important. Back to APA, Missouri. Again, I'm super in love with them. I'm going to have to just buy an airplane ticket and go visit them. Hopefully, it's not going to be like the Wizard of Oz and behind the curtain. I'm going to be disappointed, but I don't think so. So they bought this machine. It's like a ticker machine. They're not very expensive. And every time someone adopts, the adopter gets to push a button on the wall, and the number goes up. So they know I adopted, in this particular case, I adopted 1,578. And you'd be amazed how many people remember their number because that was their pet that they got. This is a super easy, cheap way to engage people. Everybody gets an adoption photo. They call it the first family photo. We've got mom and dad and the toddler, and then you've got the older child holding the sign. Do you think she's going to remember the day we brought Buddy home? We are making families. We are a milestone in people's lives. I will never forget my first dog, ever. We're like important things, like when you get married, or when you get your first car, or when you graduated, when you got your first dog or your first cat. And I think we forget that we make families. We are a milestone, and if we acted like it, we might see better results. This is my favorite Facebook post of all time from last year. This little boy and his mom went to the shelter in Texas. I think it's Paws Shelter of Central Texas. And his mom finally decided to let him adopt a dog. And they're walking through, he's asking lots of questions, and he landed on this very attractive, nondescript pit bull that had been in their care for nearly 100 days. And that was the dog that he was going to go home with. And staff asked him, "Why are you so dressed up?" And he said, "Because this is a special occasion." So they made it a special occasion. And they took his picture and told his story on Facebook, and it went viral. And pretty soon, packages started coming to his house from Chewy and Petco. All us animal people started mailing him gifts. That kid, for the rest of his life, will believe that is what happens when you adopt a dog from the animal shelter. And I'm not saying we have to do that every single time, but that shelter was very astute in noticing how dressed up he was. We have so many moments that we can tell such great stories about, and we could stop sadvertising, and we could start joyvertising. Ooh, joyvertising. I think I made a new word. And then switching gear a little bit. I'm the only thing keeping you from lunch, so I'm going to talk fast. Sometimes animal welfare has a cruelty to people problem. We tend to be a little judgy. Not everybody, but it's still ingrained in our industry that some people aren't good enough. I worked with Pasco County, Florida for a full year working on their return to home program. And they know I tell this story too, in great shame. But their lost and found coordinator, this like 12, 13-year-old white scruffy dog came in. She figured out which street it was on. She just asked an ACO to create an activity to go out and knock on that door and see if anybody knew who this dog belonged to. The officer didn't get a chance to go, but the call was still pending. And the next day, Alex says to him, or her, it was a female officer, which surprised the heck out of me. We're supposed to be more compassionate. But she says to the officer, you don't need to, you can cancel that. I just need you to drive the dog home. I found the owner. And the officer said, no, that dog was running at large. I am going to go out and issue a citation. She went to that man's house, who happened to be a veteran of the United States military on hospice, talked to his caregiver, gave him a citation, and said, your dog would be better off if you surrendered her because you're dying anyway. And the old man signed off, and he never saw his dog again that he had had his entire life. This is the 21st century. This happened this last year. This is not an anomaly. We have a problem. We are the problem. I don't care how good you think your shelter is. We can all do better. We can all make experiences better. All right, I'm running out of steam. And this is the other thing. We don't teach our new staff and some of our old staff that need retraining how to have conversations with people. Real eye contact, real conversations, right? So someone's working intake and the old lady walks in with a cat intake or reception, whatever you call it, where people bring you their strays. Old lady walks in, she's got a cat, it's got a bandaged arm, and she's crying, and she said, my cat got hit by a car. The veterinarian said the bill is $4,200. I bet you there's someone in this room or someone in our industry that would say, that's what you get for letting your cat go outside. Okay, we still have orgs that won't adopt outdoor cats. I bet someone thought if you can't afford a pet, you shouldn't have one. Just a few weeks ago, the state of Alabama passed a law outlawing low-cost spay and neuter and low-cost vaccine clinics. 100%. They abolished low cost in the state of Alabama, and a legislator at the podium with his microphone said to the people of Alabama, you might want to rethink getting a pet if you can't afford one. In the United States of America in 2026. We still have a problem. How many of y'all have an extra $4,200 right now that you could spend on your cat? Stand up. I'm serious. How many of you? Most of us in animal welfare are not making a lot of money, right? Maybe the ED, but the average shelter worker can't afford to do this. But we forget to have these kinds of conversations with our staff so that they're not placing judgment on those who are coming in that need us the most, right? We can't afford what this old lady needs. But what can we do? And maybe your shelter has an angel fund. Maybe you're sneaky and you've got a vet that says, I'll fix it and we'll just give the cat back. We all have found workarounds. All of us have. But what if there's no good solution? Mrs. Ramirez, or whatever her name is, I'm so sorry that this happened to you and your kit Boo, right? Are we teaching our staff, and they tend to be younger, how to have those kinds of sympathetic, empathetic, compassionate moments with a complete stranger? Most of us are not. We're not taking the time to do that. We hire these nice people and we throw them to the wolves, and we're disappointed when the old lady leaves a horrible Google review because we weren't very nice. Even if the answer's no, how we say no, how we treat that person in that most critical moment leaves a lasting impression. Even if Mrs. Ramirez was told, unfortunately, there isn't anything we can do to help you. Euthanasia may have to be an option, but walking someone through that horrible moment, how we did it, is what determines our success as an industry. We need to spend more time practicing these conversations. And if you're going to hire somebody new and throw them at intake with Jane, or no, let's call her Vera, right? If this new person is trained by Vera and Vera's not very good at it, what do you got? 2 Veras. We're not spending enough time. Here's another one, returns. Do we train our staff on how to have conversations about returns? When someone comes in to return an adopted pet, do we teach our staff to say, thank you so much for giving this pet an opportunity to get out of the shelter? We don't. Typically, we do not train them to do that. We have a little form, if we have a little form. Often we sit in judgment. Often we put them on a new do not adopt list because they're jerks because they returned the dog or the cat, right? No, we miss an opportunity to develop a relationship with someone who tried to do something right, walk them through all the information that we could get, that they gleaned, that we can't glean in a shelter, and we thank them for doing what they did. And then we say, once we get through this and you're ready, we'll find you a pet that's more suitable to your family or your household. We're not training to that, people. We're not. Oh, testicles. Oh, my God. I'm almost out of time. People ask me, why do you call it testicle talk? And I say, well, it made you come to the class, didn't it? Testicles is the other thing. We hire these new people, and we don't tell them that at some point in their career they're going to stand across the counter, typically with a man, and have to tell them why their dog doesn't need his balls anymore. We don't train to that, right? We all know why spaying and neutering is important. We do know that, right? Better health, less roaming, no spraying, blah, fighting, blah, 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 blah. But most people in sheltering learn this through osmosis. They hear other people spiel it, right? So if they're being trained by someone who's not doing a very good job, that's the kind of job they're going to do. I have 3 minutes. I once told a man, because I think you got to get real with people. I told this man, your dog doesn't have any thumbs. It is of no benefit to him to keep those. Maybe we need to pass out this article from the UK because it talks about, no, my dog does not care about losing his virginity. We talk to people over here, but we don't talk about real things, right? Your dog will never remember that she had that litter. Once they're gone, they're gone. It's done. Dogs live in the moment. But we aren't helping our teams have these difficult conversations. I'm not going to play Neuter the Scooter Cat, but if you've ever seen, you should Google it. It is out of the Cincinnati area. Give them 10. Google Scooter the Neutered Cat. You've had him here. The most brilliant spay and neuter campaign in the country. We should be playing those videos in our lobbies because they're funny and they're real. Here's another thing that you could make. There are these little laminated cards. You buy the earrings on Temu and you stick them on the dog or the cat or the dog where the testicles go, and you sell these earrings for $5 a pair to go towards your spay and neuter fund. I know 2 shelters that are doing this with quite a little bit of success. Here's the person I love the most in life. This is my daughter, Ruby. She is the person I would go to prison for, kill for, and die for. I hope you have someone that you could take to work with you on your shoulder. So when you're having one of those days where you think you're going to lose it with your colleagues or with a customer, how would you want your Ruby to be treated? Sorry for going so fast. I will be here at lunch if anybody wants to talk about anything. And thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Gina Knepp, everybody. Wow, loved it. Thank you. Yes, she will be here to talk with everybody. We are going to start lunch, but we just ask everybody to kind of stay seated or around their table until the curtains come back, and then the Primo staff will help guide you to release you to the buffets. The buffets will be on either side, so Primo staff will guide you on when to release the table and off to the buffet. All right. It is like a wedding, yes. And we'll have lunch for a full hour until 1:15. Okay. Thank you, Gina.